Here we are today interviewing David Rymill from the Record Office.
Hello.
And he will be answering some of our questions, and well, we hope it all goes well. Do you want to start with the first one?
The first question, what can you tell us about the Record Office, how it works and how the people work, how the archivists work?
Well, the Record Office is here to look after the archives of the County of Hampshire. We're run by Hampshire County Council, along with services like libraries and museums. And so we're open to the public 6 days a week, so that they can come in and research their family history, local history, find out how old their house is, research anything from right-of-way through their garden to the first owner of an old car that they've bought, try and track down missing relatives. There's a huge range of reasons why people come in here, and we have a huge range of sources that they might come in and look at. Official sources and private papers, estate records, family papers, records of local councils and clubs and schools and so on. And we look after them in this building, which has been here since 1993. The office has been around since 1947, but we moved to these purpose-built premises coming up to 20 years ago, which provide us with much more space both for storing the documents in the best conditions possible and for making them available easily to the public as well.
So what's the job of an archivist? And also, do you do research of your own?
Well, I do my own research, not in paid time, of course. We do get to help people with their research here, and if people aren't able to come into the Record Office, then we can do a small amount of looking up for free, and certainly we'll always look in our catalogues so that we can advise them whether it's worth their while making a visit or not. And if they really aren't able to come in and they want us to look up through some records for them, then we have a paid research service. But in my own spare time, yes, I do my own local history research as well. But the job of an archivist is very varied. First of all, our responsibility is to look after the documents that we've got in our care, many of which still belong to the people or organisations that have deposited them with us. And so part of that work involves recording where documents have come from, who they belong to, whether there are any special conditions imposed, for instance, whether we have to get back to the owners to check before giving access or before people reproduce things. So then, once we've recorded where documents come from, we catalogue them so that the descriptions appear on our online catalogue and anyone all around the world can find out what we hold here. And then part of the job involves making the records available, so we take it in turns to be on duty in the search room and dealing with inquiries, helping people with the handwriting of documents, which is sometimes quite a challenge for them. And then, of course, because we want to spread the word about how interesting archives are, or at least how interesting we find them, and the uses that people might be able to put them to, we also go out and about around the county, giving talks, giving archive film shows, in the case of our colleagues in the Film and Sound Archive on the top floor, maybe going into libraries and museums and meeting people there and advising them on their research. And then a number of us have work we do around the county on secondments, working in our private archives and helping with the storage and cataloguing there. So it's a really varied job.
Then why did you decide to get into working in archives?
It really began with doing my own research, both local history and family history, and I suppose really almost as far back as I can remember, I've been interested in history and in recording information. I can remember when I was 6 drawing a picture of a lamppost outside the school because it was about to be replaced with a modern one, and I wanted to place on record what the old lamppost looked like. It probably wasn't an awfully good picture, but I've probably still got it somewhere. But as I went through school and became more interested in history, becoming an archivist was one of the things that came out of the careers advice process. So I spent a day with an archivist, enjoyed that, spent a few weeks over various university holidays doing voluntary work in my local record office, and that made me fairly certain it was what I wanted to do. And so then I got a job as an archives assistant working with the public, first of all up in London and then up in Surrey, to get some experience of archive work before going on the postgraduate one-year course to become an archivist.
Why would you work in the record office rather than anywhere else?
Well, we are very lucky in Hampshire with the archive service that we've got and with the building that we've got. We were probably one of the first counties to get a purpose-built record office, and I think that was very largely down to the fact that we had very good support from the elected councillors over the years and very dynamic county archivists in charge of the office. So we are in a really good position here. Having had experience of working in a couple of record offices that weren't that well funded, and often we weren't able to offer the services that people wanted, or we weren't able to let them come the day that they wanted to because we were fully booked. It was a real breath of fresh air to come here and find that so often the answer to people's questions was yes, yes you can come in, yes we do offer such and such a service. I think it's fair to say in Hampshire we have for a very long time been an archive service that has wanted to embrace new technologies and new ideas. We were one of the first offices to have a good online catalogue, and we've experimented with opening up the archives in all sorts of ways. So it's an exciting place to work in. It's a place where there are wonderfully varied collections. One day you can be looking at a letter in which Sir Isaac Newton is asking for advice about how to grow apple trees. The next day it might be a letter from Florence Nightingale, aged 6, about watching an eclipse. Next day you're opening a little bag of documents that hasn't been opened for 100 years and opening up these documents, and maybe it's title deeds to a house in Borghurst from 1255. Maybe it's the scrap of paper that somebody who was classed as a vagrant in the 17th century had to carry about with him as he was forcibly removed back from the Midlands to his home in Hampshire, step by step. So often you're coming across really poignant records. Sometimes you're coming across records that really aren't that exciting on the face of it, but you know that actually in 100 years' time somebody will be really glad to see them. So they are still worth working on and still worth preserving for the future.
I do understand the whole thing. I did remember when I was here, one day you could have these parish records and then a diary with trips everywhere around the world.